Okay, I want to thank you all for coming back to join us for our second session. I know that one of us is missing, but I do expect her to be here. And this is for the group for the graduate students struggling with stress and anxiety. So once again, I'm Whitney, and we're here because all of you have been dealing with some kind of stress. And looking back, I think our first session went pretty well. What do you all think about the first session?
Yeah, I definitely liked you taught us about good stress and bad stress. I've been telling everybody that since our first session, so that was like I enjoyed it.
Well, good. I'm very glad that you got something out of it that you're able to really use in the real world. Ashley, would you like to add anything about your thoughts about the first session?
I'm the same way. I had really liked learning that.
Okay, well, good. And I am certain that our sessions will just continue to improve as we get to know each other more over these next couple of sessions that we have left. Now, the reason for this group is that I'm here to help you all kind of understand what stress and anxiety is, the different types of stressors that you all mentioned, and how to eliminate or cope with some of the stressors that are in your life. Now, we've already talked about what stress and anxiety are and the different types of stressors. So today's purpose of this session in particular is to help you all understand and learn to eliminate or kind of tweak some of the stressors that you have in your life. And as we go on in the rest of our sessions, we'll continue to learn how to do some stress management techniques. And then eventually I'm going to have you guys develop your own personalized stress plan. How does that sound to help you kind of deal with things?
That sounds good. I need it.
Okay, good. I'm glad you're able to join us, Sophia. We really haven't gotten started yet. So since this is only our second session, we are going to go around, and I would like for everybody to kind of state your name again for the group and just tell us how stressful your week was on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most stressful week you've ever had, and 1 being not stressful at all, your anxiety is completely cured. How was your week? Who would like to go first?
I'll go. So I'm gonna say that it was about a 7.
Okay.
Not that anything crazy happened, just the usual trying to get things done, trying to have like a running timeline in your mind, like okay, this needs to be done, like a checklist that like never stops. And I
Yeah.
have a trip coming up with my family, so just trying to make sure everything's in order before I leave.
Okay.
Kind of just added some extras to like what I need to do, like some extra trips to the store, some extra like you know check off points so I get things
Yeah.
done before we leave. Just like a little extra this week because of the trip for sure.
Okay. Good, good, good. Who wants to go next and kind of talk about just your name and rating your week on a scale of 1 to 10? And you can give us a little description of your week.
Well, my name's Sophia, and I'd probably say 8 or 9. I was like, because I have so much going on, and I was tending to my newborn, so it's a lot, and full-time student, and I have a job, and my husband works, so he can't help too much with the baby, so
Yeah.
it's a lot. Yeah, definitely 8 or 9. It's hard adjusting to all this stuff going on.
Yeah.
So, again, sorry I was late.
Oh no, you're fine. We understand. Just hop in and kind of see what's going on a little bit, and we'll try to fill you in as much as possible if you ever have to be late. Kind of like we talked about in group 1 about the rules. If you're late, it's okay. Just hop on, and we'll help you kind of get filled back in. Now, Ashley, would you like to share anything about your week as far as rating it on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'd probably put it around like an 8.
Yeah.
Kind of like what Urjika was saying, I had a lot of just stuff on my to-do list this week, and when I got one thing done, it felt like I had 5 things added on after that one thing was taken off. So there's just a lot of having to do, and I had a trip this weekend, so having to get everything ready for that so I didn't have to worry about it while I was gone was kind of hard.
Oh, yeah, I understand that. Well, it sounds like there's been some kind of interesting weeks, kind of filled with some stressors, and we are going to get into it soon. But before we kind of dive into that, last week I kind of asked you all to just take a look at your lives and see if there were any things that you thought might have been bad stresses in your life, but actually it could have been kind of motivating for you. Did you all notice anything like that as you went throughout your week?
Yes. So for me, one of the stressful things that I had going on is that I'm not working right now. My better half is taking care of all things financial, and I'm just here taking care of my son, and I'm going to grad school at the same time. And it's just stressful because I'm not used to not helping financially or
Yeah.
not having my own. And so I thought it was bad stress. But then after our discussion, I was like, you know what? That's not a bad stress. That's not a bad thing to have someone that's taking care of you.
Yeah, sometimes we have to just kind of let go and let others fill in the roles that we thought that we had to do all by ourselves to help us with some of that stress and kind of coping with things. Did anybody else have anything like that? And it's okay if you didn't, just if you thought that something might have been bad, when you really stepped back and looked at it, it actually could be a good thing or a motivating thing in your life.
Well, me and my friends, we always go out to dinner once a week. And this week, because I had so much going on, like it kind of stressed me out about going to it. Like I was like, no, I don't need to. I need to get all my things done. But then like finally going, it was, I got to not think about my to-do list for an hour and a half and just spend time with my friends and enjoy a little bit of the day. So it went from being super stressful to then I was glad I went.
Yeah, absolutely. Like taking care of yourself, whether that means stepping back from some roles like Rodrigo, or if that means allowing yourself to just enjoy some time and have some time to yourself. All of these are stress management techniques that we'll actually be getting more into those things on next week when we go over the coping techniques. Sophia, did you have anything you'd like to add for this? As far as thinking that there was something stressful that turned out that if you change your perception of it, it can kind of be a little more motivating than what you thought.
Mm, I guess having to wake up every really early in the morning to feed my babies really stressful because of lack of sleep. But I always remind myself that I'm um, giving her nutrition and helping her grow. And every time I see that she reaches a milestone or that she's gotten bigger, it reminds me that it's worth it. So that's one of the things.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad that you all were able to kind of reevaluate some of the things that you had in your life and realize that maybe if I can change my perception, maybe some things can be more positive than I thought. And just doing that as a start as far as lowering your stress and anxiety levels. So I definitely commend you all for taking that step and really evaluating some things. Now, another part of kind of managing the stress in our lives has to do with completely eliminating stressors or improving the situations around our stressors. So Rodrigo gave us a good example as far as being able to kind of step back and eliminating that job role from her life. So to kind of help us figure out how we're going to do that and kind of eliminate or change some things, I want us to go into our next activity. Now, I sent everybody an email asking them to have either 6 index cards or pieces of paper that you could write on. Does everyone have that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to pull up our example really quick. So let me share my screen. Of what we are going to do. Okay, so for this one, I want you all to think about your life for just a few minutes. What are kind of the roles in your life that you have? What shoes do you find yourself having to fill in your life? So for example, you might say things like student, parent, a mother, Sophia mentioned, a volunteer, anything. So what are the roles that you have in your lives? And so I want you to write down one role on each card that you have. And just take a minute or two and write down your top 6 roles. And so I showed you here on the example, we have student, employee, volunteer, mother, and then just fill them in for you. What roles do you have? And what things do you have in your life that you have to fill? And I'm going to give you all just a minute to write some of those things down. Okay, do you all need any more time? And it's okay if you do. Is everybody finished or would you like a little more time?
A little more time, please.
Okay, I'll give you all a few more minutes. And I know sometimes it can be challenging to really take a look at ourselves and figure out what all it is we have to do, since oftentimes we do so much. So if you can't get 6, that's fine. Just, write down, try to do at least 4 to 6 of just the different roles that you have in your life. I already showed you some examples. Some more might be church. You might be in the choir. School, you might be on a board of an activity. You might be on a board in your neighborhood. Just what are some things that you find yourself, just look at how you're spending your time. What are some things that seem to be draining a lot of time from you? You might put video gamer, you might put social media user. Just what are the roles in your lives that are really taking up the time and the shoes that you're having to fill? Okay. So now that you've all had some time to kind of think about your roles, what are some of the things that you've listed? And anyone feel free to chime in.
I wrote daughter.
Mhm.
I'm basically my mom's caretaker. And I have 2 other brothers, but they don't live anywhere close by. So I'm always the one taking care of my mom.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody else want to share maybe a role or two that they've listed down?
I put
I did it.
I'm sorry, Rodrigo, you were first.
oh, I put mother, friend, student, chef.
Okay, good.
No one. So I live with my better half, my son, and my sister. And my sister, my better half, neither cook, and so that leaves me to be the chef. And I didn't know how aggravating it is to come up with the menu every week.
Yeah, I definitely understand that.
So yeah.
Okay, Ashley, what about you? What are just a couple of the roles that you've listed?
I wasn't really sure like what term it would be, but I put house care. Like I'm the one that does all the cleaning and all that.
Housekeeper.
And sometimes it's just housekeeper. There we go.
One of mine
I
as
couldn't
well.
know it, but and it's just hard with between work and school, and I'm so weird about the house being clean. Like I always want it clean, but I feel like I can never find the time to make sure it's clean.
So I'm glad to see that we have some sort of commonalities and things that you all both seem like you guys are having to fill in for your house. So now that you have your things listed on your little cards, I want you guys to take a few seconds and make 2 piles. One pile that brings you mostly good stress or brings you mostly happiness, and there's not a lot of bad stress going on associated with that role. The other pile, I want you to put the ones that really cause some of that bad stress in your life. And it doesn't mean that you don't love them if it's a person. It doesn't mean that you don't enjoy doing it if it's a specific role. But just what are some things that mainly cause you bad stress? Let's take a few minutes and separate your piles. I can really see it looks like some of you are really kind of thinking about this. And, sometimes the lines are blurred as far as, what brings you good stress and bad stress, because things can cause both. But I want you to kind of think about what mainly causes, or what type of stress it mainly causes. So looking at it, does anybody want to go first as far as some of the things that are causing you some bad stress? And we don't really need to go into them right now, because we will go into them a little bit further a little bit later. So right now I just want you to kind of say what the roles are in your bad stress category. Who would like to go first?
I know you told us to do 2 piles, but I did 3 because I'm hard at it. So I put like student like in the middle pile, because I don't feel like it's necessarily stressing me out, but it's something.
Well, let me stop you for a second. I just want you to list just the roles.
Sorry.
So you can do your middle pile and your bad pile.
Okay, so student, then I'm at my middle pile, and then housekeeper and chef is in like my bad pile.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else want to go next and share what they put in their bad pile or their middle pile if needed?
I put student and employee in bad pile,
Yeah.
and mother and wife in good, and then daughter like in the middle.
Okay. Yeah. So like I said, sometimes it's difficult picking out which one's completely bad and which one's completely good. So sometimes having that middle category might be best for us. Ashley, did you want to share about any of the roles that you put in that bad category or that middle category?
I put, after hearing like the middle categories, I was like, oh, that's perfect what I need. So I put housekeeper in my middle and student in the bad.
Okay. Okay, well, seems like you all kind of put a middle category, and then you all had a student in your bad category, it seems like. So just kind of knowing that you're not alone in that, as far as you want to go to school and you care about school, but it does cause some bad stress. Hopefully that'll put you at ease a little bit more to know that you're not the only one experiencing some of those things. Now I want you all to kind of just look at your lives as a story in progress. Now your story isn't finished yet. You still have the power to make some changes in your lives and eliminate some of the stressors in many different ways. When we are in difficult situations, we often don't have to let those situations continue. We don't have to continue to let them to be bad stressors in our lives. Sometimes simply just understanding that you kind of have that control in your life can be enough for the stressors to feel better. How does that kind of make you feel? What choice do you all feel like you have in your own lives and what happens in your life? And I understand this is sometimes a hard question. How much control do you feel like you really have? Are you in control of your life making the decisions, or are other people making them for you? The teachers, the babies, the spouses, the sisters. How do you all feel?
Sometimes I feel like I don't have much control. I have to listen to what my boss tells me. I have to do all these things for my daughter, because if I don't do it, then there'll be consequences. And same for my mother. If I don't listen to what the teachers say and do what's assigned and everything, then I risk failing or not being able to pass. And I don't know. So I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I have control. Sometimes I feel like I don't. It's confusing.
Yeah,
It's difficult for sure.
yeah, absolutely. Does anybody else want to share about the type of control that they feel that they really have?
I actually feel very similar to Sophia. I feel like some days I have the world is mine. I got this checklist, got it. And then some days I'm like, what the F just happened? Like,
Mhm.
like I don't know. So it just depends on the day.
Yeah. Ashley, I see you nodding your head a lot. Is there anything else that you want to add, or really just piggybacking off of them?
Yeah, kind of going off of them. It's very like situational.
Mhm.
on if I feel like I have control or not.
Yeah. And sometimes if we can just tell ourselves that we are in control of our own story, that's still happening, and we still have the power to change our stories. And sometimes that can help. So, if we can kind of take control, one of the ways that we can take control is to kind of let go of some of the expectations that we've placed on our own selves or allowed others to place on us. Sometimes we can place too many expectations on ourselves that can sometimes be unrealistic. For example, I've had a client that felt the need to, that's kind of what you all have said, keep your house completely clean while working, being a parent, being in school. So thinking about what you kind of have going on in your life, are there any expectations that you all have that you can just let go of and not really worry about anymore? Yeah.
Yes, as far as like me being a chef, like
Mhm.
as long as I feed my son, these other people are adults, and so they can feed themselves if push comes to shove. I don't have to always be the person to make sure that everyone eats. Like we're all adults.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a lot of pressure for you to put on yourself, and that's a high expectation. Feeding four people, including yourself and your baby, that could be a lot. Does anybody else have any expectations that they need to let go of?
Being the perfect mother, I guess I have to kind of come to terms with mistakes will be made because I'm just human
Yes.
and not feel so bad. And that, I have a husband, I have a mom and a mother-in-law, so I shouldn't feel alone and feel like I have to do everything. I should be able to lean on people for
Yeah.
the sake of my daughter. So yeah, I think maybe I should just be less hard on myself.
Yeah. And I think you said some powerful things about not having to do everything by yourself and not having to be 100% perfect. And I want to challenge you to even go a step farther and apply that to your entire life and not just motherhood, since you mentioned about not having to be a perfect mother. We don't, a lot of times we don't have to be a perfect anything. We try to put too much on ourselves, and that expectation of perfectionism can sometimes be the source of our anxiety, not necessarily what we have to do, but our own expectations on ourselves. Um, Ashley, did you have anything that you wanted to add about expectations?
I guess with mine, I can just remind myself that a spotless house isn't all that matters. Like life
Yes.
happens. Nobody expects my house to be no dishes in the sink, floor swept and mopped every day. Like it happens. I'll clean it when I can do it.
Absolutely. Part of that, again, is it might seem different because we're talking about motherhood versus household, but it's still that idea of having to be perfect and just kind of letting go of that, realizing that we can't do everything perfectly all the time without putting too much stress and anxieties on ourselves. And another way for us to eliminate some of the bad stress in our life is to just completely let it go. Just completely let it go. Does anybody see any of the roles that you have written that you don't even need to have in your life anymore? It might be chef for an entire family. Um, it might be some of the things. So is there anything that you feel like you can eliminate? And I know we talked a lot about our family. Sometimes it means letting go of a person, or maybe our role in that person's life. Does anybody have anything that they think they can let go of?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna quit being a chef. Like I'm just gonna go ahead and can I like rip the paper or something? Is that
Does anybody else see anything that you can just immediately let go of? And sometimes it's not that easy, but is there anything that you think that you can eliminate? Sophia, Ashley, anything?
Not in any time soon, but student once I graduate, which should be a year and a half, 2 years. So once I have that diploma in my hand, I could take this card and just toss it right out the window to be like, done. There we go.
Yeah, and sometimes we can't just get rid of things, which is why next week we're going to talk about how to cope with some of the things that we have. But for right now, we're going to kind of keep the focus on things we can get rid of. Is there anything in your life, Ashley, that you think that you can let go? And once again, it's okay if the answer is no.
No, because if I don't clean the house, it won't be cleaned. So that one can't go. I need a job. I have to be in school. I have to be. I have my friends.
Well, I definitely understand that. And for some of us, it might not be getting rid of the noun. You have a noun as being a student. It might be getting rid of the adjective that describes. You're still a student, but do you have to be a perfect student? You're still a mother, but do you have to be a perfect mother? And it might be just letting go of that adjective that's associated with the noun that you have for yourselves. And so if we go back to our cards for just a minute, think about one of the stresses that you can either remove completely or you can change that adjective from your life. And so what I want you all to do is I want you to write down just one stressor that you can remove from your life. And I'm going to share my screen because I'm going to ask you all a couple more questions to write down. So for this one, what is one stress that I can remove or just change from my life? And you can just go at your own pace, but the next question is, how can I remove it or change it from my life? It might be taking off that adjective that's associated with it. And the last one, I want you to think about why it'll help you to change or remove it. Maybe because it'll help you reduce your stress. Maybe because it'll help you lower your expectations. Maybe it'll just help you feel like you can breathe again. Just how will it help you in particular if you can just change or remove that one stressor from your life? And I'm kind of going to go back to what Rodrigo said as far as taking that card and ripping it up. And I want you guys to really symbolize this change in your life. So once you've had your 3 questions written and you can really see for yourself that I need to change this and then it'll help me. I want you to take that card that you need to change or remove and just rip it up completely. Is everyone done with the questions on the screen? Okay, I'm going to go back. Did everybody get a chance to either rip up that card or maybe write that adjective on it and scratch it off? Now, how did that make you feel when you really got to see it just literally be eliminated from your life by ripping it up? How'd that feel?
Good.
Good.
Relief.
Good. Those are some great words. That's really the purpose of this group is to kind of help you understand and let go of some of that stress that you've put on yourselves and kind of help you eliminate or changing. It's just one component of our stress management plan. And because like we kind of mentioned before, sometimes we have things in our lives that we can't eliminate from ourselves and we can't eliminate from our lives. And that's when we're going to start learning how to actually deal with some of the stresses that we have. And that's what we'll be talking about next week. So since we've kind of talked about eliminating or changing some of our current stressors, and we kind of discussed what we're going to go through next week, I want us to bring us to a place where we feel comfortable in closing the group Does anybody have anything else that they feel that they need to discuss a little bit further? Okay, good. So kind of in just one sentence, I want everybody to say just one thing that kind of stuck out to you during this group.
It felt reassuring knowing that I don't have to be perfect.
Absolutely good. Does anybody else have anything they want to add?
Yeah, I absolutely loved when you were like, you can take you have the noun, but you can take away the adjective.
Yes. And sometimes that's what we have to do. It doesn't mean we can't necessarily get rid of all our roles. We can't just sit at home and be nothing, because that's not really how life works. But we can kind of tweak some of our responsibilities by changing those nouns, by changing the adjective that we have associated with that noun. Ashley, did you have anything that you wanted to add about what stuck out to you during this group today?
Rodrigo kind of took what I was gonna say, so I don't really know now.
Oh no, that's fine. And I understand, some of these things are things that many of us had never even heard of before, that we don't have to have these expectations that we put on ourselves, either as students, as mothers, as women. All these expectations aren't necessarily what we need to be successful. If we can let a few of them go, we can reduce some of that stress and anxiety that we have associated with these roles. Now, during this week, I want you all to think about the stresses that you have in your life that you can eliminate or change, whether if that be the thing that you ripped up or something else that you feel like you could change and kind of tweak in your life. And we'll kind of go over that next week. So it seems like we're in kind of a good place to bring this group to a close. And so I hope you all kind of begin to enjoy your week as you learn how to understand to reduce some of that stress that you have on your lives a little bit better than you did last week. So if nobody else has anything they'd like to discuss or any questions, I'm going to bring this group to a close, and I will see you all next week, and I hope you all have a good rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye now.